And Tony, how much time do you have to kind of rebuttal? Is that correct?
Yeah, 1 minute. 1 minute.
1 minute, okay.
Yeah, with any environmental disaster, it's always after the fact, right? You have this accident happen, and then it's like, okay, what could we have done? Well, in the meantime, farmland is getting sterilized, crops are getting killed, livestock's getting killed, and people are getting sick. I remember in Texas City, Texas, when I worked for a congressional race down there, we were canvassing, going door to door for this particular candidate, and cancer rates, because the oil refineries were 10 times higher in people, but they were in denial. And we don't want to wait till the point where we have a mess on our hands, literally a mess, in order to find out what we're going to do. I think it's enough. We don't really need evidence. All we need to know is, number one, is that these oil companies can come in. Number two, if they make a mess, they are not responsible by law to clean it up. That in of itself is enough justification to look into it further in terms of legislation.
I think in the interest of time, we've got a lot of questions for the sheriff, right? Since the format was set before, we're not going to take questions from the audience, but we will give each candidate 5 minutes to address other issues and maybe some of your background or whatever that you'd like to talk about. I guess with the challenger first, is that? You can reverse the order. Okay, well, why don't we reverse the order? Senator Barrington, give 5 minutes to come talk about other issues that you're dealing with at the state or whatever, okay?
Of course, you know, the state, if you could view the state budget, and I think that's what it boils down to when you talk about putting more money into various things that happen. Of course, as I stated earlier, you know, we have to have a balanced, there's a balanced amendment, so we have to have a balanced budget each year. It's kind of like if you've ever put a puzzle together and you scatter the pieces out like we used to do when we were kids and set the box up. You know what they say the most important piece of the puzzle is? It's a picture on the front of the box. Well, it's not quite that easy whenever you're dealing with budget items, particularly when you have to have your budget balanced. And so it's kind of like you're putting the different pieces in the puzzle, and finally, in the last probably 2 days, 3 days of the legislature, it all comes together to work out. That's a challenge that we're going to have. I'm thankful this year that there's been an increase in revenues. Some of these critical items that we've been having to address in the past by reducing some of the budgets across and some of them were across the board and some of them were percentages, is that with the revenue increases and things, we're going to be able to get back to addressing some of those, what I call critical needs, which are core services with state government. And with that, you know, and I said in my opening there, we've been in a recession. You guys probably have felt it pretty deeply as we see groceries going up due to increased fuel prices and different increases of products that we have to purchase, and it kind of stretches our dollar, especially for our seniors. As a lot of you may be kind of stretched for dollars when it comes to buying your prescription drugs or groceries or whatever your daily necessary needs are. But now that this is we're starting to kind of bounce back and rebound from that. And then, of course, a lot of it will end on the November election nationally, which way the direction of our country is going to go. And we have to look forward with a positive attitude that we can incentivize, become more attractive to business and industry across the state. It's no secret we've passed some workers' comp legislation, some tort reform legislation. This has made us, or is making us more attractive to business and industry to either expand in our state or relocate. What a lot of them are holding their dollars up on doing this and hiring more people is, of course, the election is going to take place next week. There are a lot of issues that I'm concerned with from my perspective as the chairman of Homeland Security and Public Safety, I hear a lot of stories out there that just are heart-wrenching when it comes to domestic violence. I've tried to pass legislation only to have it shot down, so to speak, in the last day of session that would increase protection for those that have been victims of domestic abuse. I've dealt with the problems in EPS and the shortages of officers in bringing forth legislation to provide for them another academy so that they could keep a bare minimum of troopers on the road for our public safety. And there are just numerous issues that I deal with as various committee chairmen that are essential to us, since we do count on our security, food, shelter, clothing, and primary items, and the need to feel secure. And so those are issues that if I stay in that chairmanship, that I will be addressing and continue to address. This kind of fits in with my background. I spent 32 and a half years with the City of Lawton Fire Department, the last 6 as a fire chief. Had a great career with them, hated to leave, but most firefighters will tell you it's a young man's profession. It's hard on the frame, on the muscles, as you get older and you start kind of paying for that. But that's kind of my forte out there, and that's what I address most of the time. I have helped out on education legislation by voting for it. We've had some that's been brought forth last year that would have helped, but in the last days it kind of went by the wayside. And so there's numerous needs that we look at. Health care for the elderly, foster care for children. DHS has a lot of issues that we will be addressing this year. And so that's just, I guess, my 5 minutes in time presenting myself. So anyway, thank you all for having this tonight.